you've never pushed yourself to the limit, if you've never just hit the limit, and I mean like you've pushed and you've had to find those extra gears, then you're missing out. That's all I can say is I feel bad for you, because I think everyone... Hey guys, we're about to start on an epic adventure. And while we're on this adventure, I'm gonna be talking to you about why I started running at 30 years old with a backpack. The trail is gonna be really, really interesting. It's beautiful up there, but as we got to the trailhead, we noticed there is snow up there as well. We've got 10 miles to cover, over 3,500 feet of elevation gain to climb, and half of a day to pull this off. So it's gonna be real interesting, it's gonna be really beautiful, and it's gonna be a little more intense than we initially thought. Let's go take off and try this out. You see, when I was a kid, I hated running. I mean, I can't even describe to you how much I hated running. I was a little bit overweight and I was really bad at it. I was a lineman when I played football. I was a thrower in track. And anytime I was out like at gym class and they'd make you run a mile, my whole goal was to try to even complete a mile without stopping and getting like a side ache. Ever since I was playing soccer as like a 5-year-old, I'd get side aches and I hated running. I went my whole life like that until I was 30 years old, guys. And that's what I want to talk to you about. See, last year, I got motivated to start running. And the reason why I got motivated to start running was so that I could go and do more cool crap just like I'm doing right here. The trail that we're doing would just not be possible on the time frame that I have between work and home life and my kids and my wife and all the other work demands that I do have that just constantly come up. I don't have massive amounts of time to go and pull off some of these cool epic hikes. But because of running, it's enabled me to do just that. So the number one reason that I started running at 30 years old was so that I could go and do more stuff, get to the places that were no longer reachable. I was learning about this thing called fast packing, and when I started to click that together in my own mind, I realized that my dream hike at that point in time, which it's still a very admirable dream hike, my dream hike, the Uinta Highline Trail, would be accessible a lot easier if I could cover the miles. Now, I didn't end up fast packing that specific trail, but that got the wheels turning. What if I could do 25 or 30 or 35 miles a day on trail? What could I go and do that I no longer would be restrained? See, that trail, I was planning on it taking 7 to 10 days. That's a lot harder of an ask than 5 days or even 4 days to complete a 100-mile trail. I know you're probably thinking, well, I will never run, just like I did my entire life. 30 years of my life, I was never a runner. And I firmly believe that my genetics and everything about my entire being was anti-running. But I promise you that can change. This isn't the video for that, but I will talk to you more about how you could potentially start running. And even if you believe that you are the absolute polar opposite of a runner, that can become a reality for you. All right, guys, we are 5 miles in and we are doing some serious climbing right now, but it's been totally awesome. In fact, you might be able to see right here behind me some really cool shots of Zion National Park. While we're outside of Zion, it's still just absolutely gorgeous. But let's talk about reason number 2 that I love running and why I continue to run now over a year later. And that is that I have lost a ton of weight and gotten in way better shape than I've ever been in before my entire life, I would even say. I was considering this even back when I was in my 20s, and I do think I'm in better shape now at 31 years old than I was then. I dropped almost 30 pounds of weight. I strengthened my lower body a ton, my hips, my knees, my ankles, all the stuff that I didn't think would be able to run. They adapted to running, and I'm in love with it now. The strength that I have in my ankles and in my feet and in my knees and in my hips is just phenomenal, and it's put me in better shape than I've ever been in my entire life. It's very rare that you get to see snow and sandstone together, and when you do, you should definitely cherish it. And that's another one of those reasons why I love trail running. See, when I started trail running, I started getting out of just the gym. I was starting to feel like a hamster in a wheel at the gym. And it wasn't until I got really into specifically trail running and tracking some of that when I started to just get outside all the time. And that is something I love about running. I run because it gets me outside multiple times a week. That does something for me both mentally and physically that not much else out there really can. We live in a day and age where things are just crazy, right? There's so much stress, there's so much technology, there's so much grabbing our attention. But when you're out on the trail and there's just nothing for you to do but go down that trail and focus on each individual step, you can find a different place in your life that just it disconnects you mentally, gets you outside, gets you that fresh air, and it's been life-changing for me. As promised in this video, I also wanted to talk to you about why I run with a backpack. If you add an additional 10 or maybe 15 pounds in a backpack on you, and then you go to run those same trails, the amount of impact that your knees adapt to and stabilize for, your ankles, your hips, etc., goes to a different level. By strengthening all of those components of the lower body, you really set yourself up for success when you go and hit the trail. I find it a massive downer. It breaks my heart to see people who will go and start trails and not be able to finish them, especially because of physical abilities, or they get injured right off the bat. And a lot of people will say, you know, there's nothing I could do. But I've never been that person in my life where I think there's nothing I can do. I always am looking for what could I have controlled. And I think training and running with a backpack is something I can control. And the amount of impact it can allow you to do in a condensed period of time in our busy lives is on another level, and will set you up for success when you go to do that dream hike. All right, guys, so we made it up to the top and it looks phenomenal. Check this out. So that back there is Zion's National Park. Running has been a pivotal point in getting me to destinations like these more often. Literally, we had a trip already planned to come here, but we weren't gonna do it like we did. Yesterday, we decided to change that to a fast packing trip, which allowed us to get up here on top, cover more miles, see more stuff, and see views like this. Sometimes I think people think, why are you running when you're out in the woods? You know, you should just be slowing life down and seeing that. And I also get that, I really do. But because of running, I can also get to more places more often that allow me to see the destination looks like this. We're starting to live in a time when I feel like there's a lot of just mentally weak and physically weak people. I don't know how to say that. And one of the things that I absolutely love about trail running is it pushes you to the limit. Running, getting outdoors, being in Mother Nature, I guess, and more often, more frequently, it is just flat out going to push you and make you more mentally tough, push those limits, and make you feel alive. Some of the best moments I've had in the last year of my life, where I've just felt more alive than anything else, has been on the brink of just, if you haven't watched, go watch the High Line. That's one example where the weather is just, the weather's hitting us. We're coming up on 25 miles of hiking that day. We weren't actually running that day, but running trained me so that we could do 25 plus miles per day on that hike. And it was, to some people, they would say miserable. What I felt was more alive than I've ever felt, right? Those situations are what build me. They're what make me tough. They're what build me as a man. And they make me, I think, a better father and a better business owner and a better employer. You know, all of those things, they're pivotal. And if you've never pushed yourself to the limit, if you've never just hit the limit, and I mean like you've pushed and you've had to find those extra gears, then you're missing out. That's all I can say is I feel bad for you, because I think everyone needs to push themselves physically and mentally to those limits. Obviously there's stress and there's limits in that way of daily life and all of that, and it's not really what I'm talking about. This is different. This is something that isn't completely different, and I hope that you guys go experience it, because this, you don't get this without more going on. You do not get this without a little bit of physical and mental anguish to be able to get to these destinations and see stuff that not many people get to experience. So rant over, let's go get into camp and set up camp, because it is getting cold now. Got some chicken coconut curry and I'm getting hungry. Man, it's nice to be back using the alcohol stove. It's been a minute. Been a long, cold winter without her. All right, made it through the night. Just waiting for that sun to hit the tent. Get some of this frozen condensation off. We've got a meeting at 1, so we've got some country to cover for sure. All right, so we got back to the truck in time, 11:15. We needed to be here before about 11:45, so made a really good time on the way out. Crazy thing is that we still averaged about 20 minutes a mile, which is 3 miles an hour. You might think like, oh, that's not that fast, but The first mile, it was crawling, you're climbing straight up and then straight down. I don't think we recorded a whole lot in that section because we were trying to just cover country and really technical stuff. But these last few miles, averaging closer to 5 miles an hour on the way out, and it was good. So there you've got it. That's why I started running at 30 years old with a backpack. We've got some really exciting trips to come, so make sure you're subscribed, and we'll catch you on some more fast packing adventures and regular ultralight backpacking adventures soon.